Singer Billy Joel has now been diagnosed with hydrocephalus, actually NPH, normal pressure hydrocephalus. So what is hydrocephalus and why am I telling you about it? Well, I'll tell you, I have hydrocephalus. So the version that Billy Joel has is actually normal pressure hydrocephalus, which is often called age-related hydrocephalus. It's a progressive neurological condition that occurs when excess cerebral spinal fluid, or CSF, builds up in the brain ventricle. So basically, fluid is not able to leave the brain properly because when your body is normal, cerebral spinal fluid flows from your brain down through your body and is expelled through urination. Hydrocephalus is when the fluid does not flow properly and it builds up within the brain, and that causes the brain to swell up. There are multiple causes of hydrocephalus, but it's usually found in small infants or older adults, like Billy Joel. I was diagnosed around 7 years old, but I'll get into that in a sec. So the ventricle is the cavity in the brain where this swelling can occur, and the fluid buildup causes headaches, enlarged heads. It can cause mobility problems, changes in your gait or how you walk. You fall down a lot. You can have behavioral changes. The general treatment for hydrocephalus is to put a shunt in your brain. A shunt is a device that can help control the flow of CSF, so it makes sure that the fluid is flowing properly. Enough is draining out at the proper time, and enough is being held in your brain so that your brain doesn't dehydrate, as it were. So back to my story. When I was around 6 or 7 years old, I had one of my Chiari malformation surgeries, which was dealing with my neck. So it was a surgery in my spinal cord in my neck. A few weeks after that, when I was recovering at home, I started having behavioral changes, headaches, just acting strange. Nothing really indicated something was wrong necessarily, but my mom said one day that she was going to keep me home from school because she just didn't think I was acting myself. I remember getting up in the morning and having to go to the bathroom, and I opted to go to the bathroom in my parents' bedroom. So the door was slightly ajar, so I pushed it open, and then suddenly I was on the ground. That's all I remember. I just remember being on the ground and screaming for my mom because I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know how to get back up. She comes in. I'm on the floor, I'm screaming, I'm saying things that are very out of character. She later described it to me as the girl from The Exorcist level of content screaming. So very unnatural for a young 6-year-old girl to be screaming. And I was actually having a seizure. So my mom calls 911, the paramedics come. I have gone to the bathroom all over myself. I am screaming on the floor. I remember screaming for my mom to get away from me. I remember, it's like I called for her to come help me, but then when she came to me, I suddenly want her away from me as soon as humanly possible. So that's what I remember. Paramedics sent me to a local hospital in Olympia. If you're from Olympia, you know which hospital that is. They dicked around for 2 hours and said, oh, she's having a seizure. Weird, what do we do? Oh, she is a neurosurgeon in Seattle? Oh, in that case, we're going to send her to Seattle. For those that don't know, Olympia is an hour away from Seattle. So an ambulance took me to Seattle, went to Seattle Children's Hospital. My neurosurgeon looked at my CAT scan as soon as I got there, and they said, you know what? If she got here 10 minutes later, she'd be unalived. So thanks, Olympia. So I ended up having a craniotomy, which is where they drill a hole in my skull to relieve the pressure from the CSF fluid. And I'm told the fluid shot across the room. There was so much pressure in my brain that fluid just shot like a spout out of my head. They put in a shunt. My shunt site is up here. And that is where later on they changed it to a programmable shunt. So now, this was years when I originally had it put in. Now when I have an MRI, I have to have the shunt reset because the shunt is programmed by magnets. And so they can change how big the opening is and indicate how much fluid is flowing per time. So, you know, you can have a setting of 0.5, 1.5, 2.0, things like that. So Billy Joel's case would be normal pressure hydrocephalus, which means that over time his brain just eventually developed too much pressure and it wasn't flowing properly. I developed my hydrocephalus because I developed a staph infection in my neck from one of my surgeries, and that caused an infection that spread to my brain, which caused the swelling and it not able to drain the fluid properly. So now I have Chiari malformation, syringomyelia, which is the cyst in the spinal cord, and hydrocephalus, which is where my brain cannot properly get the fluid in and out of my brain. They call it the trifecta sometimes. Not really the trifecta young girl wants to be called, you know, but yeah. So now every few years I have to have my shunt replaced. The device up here, I have to have brain surgery to have my shunt replaced. I've had it revised twice, last time in 2018, and it's just something I'm gonna have to deal with for the rest of my life. I do know that they're trying to do more treatments where they don't place shunts. They try and do more therapeutic options, but unfortunately that wasn't an option back in the late 90s when I had to have it put in. Billy, if you see this, my heart goes out to you. I understand how upsetting it can be to suddenly have behavioral or coordination changes and you don't know what's going on with you. And it's very scary to be told, oh, there's something wrong with your brain, you need brain surgery. But I think you'll be okay because it sounds like they caught it early.